Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 10K Project and this week's Bet on Black pitch. We have another amazing founder joining us this evening, and we will talk to him a little about his project. I will say for everyone who's going to watch the replay, thank you so much for watching the replay and joining us yet again another week. I want to remind everyone that we do have the platinum package available for anyone who's interested in upgrading to that and experiencing the financial planning package. I wanted to talk about that just a little bit because we've received some feedback that it's really, really benefiting a lot of people. And so we want to make sure we remind you guys that is out there and available. All right, with that said, Dwayne, welcome to the 10K Project. I am going to share your campaign page and show the family what you're working on. And Dwayne, did you want me to play this video here or you'll play a video?
I'll play it. It's part of the presentation.
Wonderful. All right, guys. So this is Sahael. Am I saying that right, Dwayne?
Sahael.
Sahael, I apologize. All right. And so this is books, graphic novels, and comics, right? So this is the first time we've had any kind of written work like this that we're going to highlight. Dwayne's campaign is in the testing the waters phase. So for those of you who are new, you may not know what testing the waters is, so I'll spend just a couple of minutes on that. So testing the waters is when a founder is trying out equity crowdfunding to see if there is interest in the project, right? So before they file their Form C and get all of their legal documents in order and pay an accountant, a lot of money to get financials in order and all of those things, they test the waters to see if there is interest in what they are doing, right? And so when they're in the test the water phase, typically they have to hit a certain financial goal in order to determine if it is going to be a successful campaign as a result of what the initial feedback was, right? So one of the things that we want to accomplish here this evening on Dwayne's behalf is obviously to get the word out about his campaign and what he's working on, this amazing work that he's working on. But we also want to help him meet his financial goal so that his campaign can continue beyond the test the waters phase, right? And I'll let Dwayne talk a little bit about that, but I wanted to clarify what that was. I'm always telling you guys to go do your due diligence. And when you go to do the due diligence on this one, you won't see the Form C, you won't see the financials. So I wanted to explain why that is. So what we do have here, however, is that Dwayne his initial goal is $55,000 and the minimum investment in this is $100. This is also a future equity is what you would be getting, right? So future equity. He has some perks associated with different investment levels, right? But the information about the project is here and it's solid information, right? And then tonight will be a supplement to the information that's on the page where you can ask Dwayne, you've got the man himself right here. You could ask Dwayne any questions that you may have about the industry, about what he's doing, about his creative influence, about what his plans are for the business long-term strategy, all of those things, all right? So with that said, I am going to stop sharing. And Dwayne, I'm going to hand it over to you, sir.
Wonderful, wonderful. Let me share. Well, I definitely wanted to thank you all for taking time today to listen to what I'd like to share with you today. This is something I've been working on for the past 18, 19 years. When I was, it started when I was a kid, probably when I was 13, 14. And then as I got older and educated from within college, master's in chemistry and history, decided, you know what, there's nothing, I've always wanted to do something for myself, the community, but also leave a legacy behind so that we would have something, or the Black community would have something to call their own. You know what I mean? So, when you think of Black Panther, that's something we feel that we're connected to, right? I mean, but when you sit down and think about it from an artistic standpoint, and you look at all these movies, it's like the only one from that type of genre that we could feel connected to, if you know what I mean. That's mainstream. Well, I'm here to change that. And I've already done a couple stress tests. I've got several companies working with me from an artwork perspective who already know it's going to work. So that I have no doubt. Um, and I want to share that with you all today. Obviously, you're going to have questions, and I want to answer all those questions as well. But I feel what you see today, you will enjoy, and I think it'll have you feel some type of way. So I definitely want to be able to, I'm going to be able to show you my slides and my screen so we can begin the process. Can you all see my screen?
Not yet.
All right. Let me do that. Share screen.
You want to make sure you share the sound also.
Yep, yeah.
I always forget to do that part.
All right, we should be good now. Can you see my screen now?
Not yet.
All right. Going a little slow. I wonder why. This was all prepared, so I just want you all to know. I'm going to close down some windows. All right, here we go. Zoom. All right. Here we go.
There we go.
All right. So when you see the bloodlines of Sahel, I want you to think of something. When you see a brand, when you see Apple, what do you think? You think fresh, clean, crisp, right? When you think of Mercedes, when you think of Marvel, when you think of DC, what comes to mind? These are questions that will start coming to everyone's mind when they start to see what the bloodlines of Sahel is. So the next slide I want to share with you. It's going to be a 5-minute presentation of what it is all about. One moment while I hit play. Can you all hear?
When I was a kid, I remember watching cartoons, superheroes, all that stuff. And I remember seeing, myself as a Black man and seeing these cartoons of white individuals, superheroes that were white. And a part of me was just like, this is great stuff. I loved watching it. And I still watched it, but something deep down, it was like, it'd be nice to see someone who looks like me. And I would think, I wish someone would do something for the Black community. I was like, I wish someone would come up with this. And I was like, you know what? Screw it, I'll do it. So that's what I'm doing. That's why I created the Bloodlines of Sahel. Since that time, I started writing things down, just writing things down on paper, just keeping it tucked away. I mean, I've got notes I could show you. Started acquiring and learning about more about my culture, where I came from. I just started compiling it all and putting it all together. I remember, you know, our African American history class with my professor, Ronald Coleman, and we talked about, you know, slavery and things such as slave rebellions, slaves being broken on ships sexually, thrown over ships with a boulder attached to them, the transatlantic slave trade, the Middle Passage, all of that stuff. I became fascinated with that stuff. And what saddened me was there's a lot of people in this world, Black and white, who just don't know about that. So I figured, why not create a story where people can have their guard down and see all this unfold in a fantasy setting? This would be fun, not only for my community, would be representation for Black community, but also kids of color, but also those who are not kids of color to understand, whoa, is this really, did that really happen? And then obviously it does, because what I'm doing, everything that you see in this fantasy world, it's all true, but it's told to you in a fantasy setting so that your guard is down, so that you can see it and experience it. These four girls, it's told through their eyes, are trying to get home to Sahel. It's a medieval-like world, and that's what it consists of. These girls getting home, but it's also consisting of the first gathering of the diaspora coming to Sahel. The second gathering is when they come to Al-Kebia. So it's a 15-book series, and it explains all of this in the most nuanced way of how it all happened. Adira is very pivotal. You know, she's got blue eyes. She was born blind. She kicks off the whole story. It starts with her. And it starts with her waking up. She has a dream. And I share a prologue, and that prologue talks about this dream she has. But she comes up out of it as a little girl. You know, her mother doesn't sell her into slavery, but her mother has to put her on a slave ship to save her life. She's a role model for what Black girls are going to want to aspire to. Through her, 4 tribes are found. Nodis. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I like Nodis. Nodis is a Black man who was cast out of his mother and father's presence, but somehow made it back into the world of Ard and inhabited the body of a white man and created systemic racism. And his whole purpose is basically just to prove to his mother and father that his plan was right. Certain people have to be on guard every single time they step out their door. This is one of those books where when you read, there is never a time when you're feeling like you can relax. You are going to be engaged the whole time because you have to be engaged. There's not a point at all when you're just, all right, I'm on a good point. That doesn't exist. And the reason why it doesn't exist is because you're going to experience the Black experience.
So that's an introduction. And what you see is that is very loaded with lots. I know you're going to have questions, and that's the whole point. And, you know, when I break it down, what is Sahael? You know, it's a dark racial fantasy series. So I've got, you know, we've got books, I've got the first 5 written, the outlines for the other 10. They'll be done in probably the next 2 to 3 years. And then each of those books is going to convert to a graphic novel that will launch every February 1st on Black History Month. Whereas the books will launch every Juneteenth for the next 15 years. And then the comics are designed, once you read the book and the graphic novel, obviously you're going to want to know about more things about this world. And those comics are going to expand on some of those areas within the world that has been created to give you a taste and feel of what it all is. And so Sahel is a world, a story built to tell hard truths and stories in a fantasy setting. You know, sometimes we live in a day and age where individuals feel fragile to hear certain things about themselves or their people or their ethnicity, whatever that may be. This is set up to where you don't have to worry about that because, as you all know, when you see things like, you know, when you saw Captain America and when Falcon took over, it was done in a way in which you enjoyed watching it. Multiple individuals, just not within our community, but multiple, and it was wholesome for them. Well, this is going to take that to a different level. Not only will it make you feel good about yourself, but it's also going to challenge you to look and want to have to look into this as well. And so, what it's going to have you look into, Sahel's going to explore the Black experience in its purest and rawest form through dark fantasy. Now, your mind might be racing, thinking about a lot of things, but keep in mind that we, in some cases, have to operate and do things differently in some cases, and this expands on that so that when people are reading, we can have those discussions because they're done in a way in which it's indirect. So when I welcome people to Sahel, a dark racial fantasy, you're going to be immersed in the racial awakening of the chosen bloodlines. And I could talk for hours about this. You know, there's years of research that's been put into this. I want you to experience, you're going to experience classism, racism, sexism, and xenophobia in all of its complexities. And so my background in terms of when it comes to learning about all this, I've included all of that. You know, you read books, Capitalism and Slavery, White Rage, The Color of Law, The New Jim Crow, Brainwash. Everything that I've read is put in here to tell in a setting so that others can learn and feel. You're going to see a people rising as one to overcome the bonds of enslavement and save art. So let me give you an example on that. Like, this isn't going to be one of those movies where, oh, this is another movie where people are enslaved and they've got, nah, it ain't about that. Nah, don't get it twisted. It's not that at all. I want to be very clear when I say that. Will you see people being enslaved? Yes, you will. However, you will also see those individuals overcoming it and rising as one. And here's the fun part. The people, you know, you're going to see them when they overrise, you're going to see a turn. And I'm not going to give anything away, but you'll see a turn where others are going to have to reach out for their help. And you're going to learn a lot of stuff there. You're going to see the one drop rule fully applied. Okay. But you're also going to, you're also going to understand the Black experience. So I did some research on the market as well. So $1.2 billion was made in graphic novels and comics in 2019. That's a lot of money. That's some cheese. That's some cheddar. I want you to, okay. Now, according to a new joint estimate by Comicron's John Jackson Miller and IC Versions 2 Milton Grebe, total comics and graphic novels were approximately 1.2 billion. All right, now, I can't see that part of my screen. One moment. $1.2, so that's an 11% increase in sales from 2018. Now, in 2020, it was 1.4 billion, and it will continue to increase. So we're in 2021, and they're already at 123%. So you're seeing a 15 to 20% increase in year-over-year growth. And here's the good thing about this market, if you have a product with a brand, you're automatically in. So I've done some research with groups. They already like what we're doing. And when you see the artwork, you'll see why. So here's how it all starts, okay? Just so that you understand the ancient, this all started with the ancient bloodline. And I want to tease this because if I tease this, you're going to want to know more. And if you want to know more, of course, you're going to want to buy the book. And if you want to buy the book, you're going to want to invest. And if you want to invest, you're going to know more, and the story is going to expand. So, first of all, this starts off, there was a white darkness that infected the ancient bloodlines, and it destroyed their planet of Kowal. Okay? Now, this white darkness killed their world, creating the spread of supremacy. So, this story talks about the ancient Kemites. They escaped their world, a world controlled by the infected Patan Imhotep. Obviously, they were ancient Egyptian goddess, but Egyptian gods were using them. Now, the reason why they were infected was they were messing with jaded white stones. When they broke these stones open, a white darkness poured out of them, and then, it infected their minds. So the world was in chaos. So what did they do? These ancient Kemites, they got inside of an asteroid, and they traveled the galaxy for millions of years. All right. Now we're going to shift to the world of Ard, where the bloodlines of Sahael start. When Ishtar and Obatal created Ard, which is the world, on the 8th day, these Kemites arrived before it was populated. This asteroid struck in the middle of Alkebula, which is known as Africa. That's where this asteroid struck, which is where Sahael was created. Okay? Now, the ancient Kemites exited the asteroid, and they were wearing ancient spacesuits. All right? They were the last of their ancient bloodline. This saga takes place toward the end of the medieval period, entering the age of discovery. And for conceptual reasons, you'll understand that. So, obviously, it's the bloodlines of Sahael, and as you can see, the ancient blood. Now, there's a whole big story behind that, which I'm not going to tell you. You have to read the book to find that out, okay? It just wouldn't be right. But this is the inside of the book, okay? So what you're going to see is you're going to see Odira is the last of her kind, or so she thinks. She and her sisters live comfortable, secure, and pampered lives in the colonies until they discover that they are part of an ancient bloodline prophesied to unite the diaspora who have been lost or enslaved by other civilizations. Now, those civilizations, I will share one with you. One of them is called the Narsans. I modeled the Narsans after the Nazis. I'll let you think of that as you will, okay? Nazi Germany from the history. Now, they learn they need to find a way to get back to Sahael. You're going to see something else. The signs of the times are events that lead to destruction, chaos, and death they will encounter as they leave these colonies. So between these 4 princesses who don't know they are at the time, because they're all meeting at one time, just so you know, and then they break off into each book, just so that you're aware. The signs of the times are going to follow them wherever they go. However, there are those in the shadows who intend to eradicate anyone who carries the ancient blood, which means that they have to enslave Black people because the ancient blood is within the Black race. They're going to do that. A secret disembodied army is preparing to overtake both the living and the dead in secret, fueled by hate, ignorance, and naivety. Now, that's a loaded statement. So the whole point, you're going to learn about hate. You're going to learn what fuels hate. You're going to learn rules and laws put in place based off of that hate. And you're going to learn death is going to happen because of that hate, and death has to happen. And I'll leave it at that, because the more death, obviously you're helping someone fuel their army. So the Bloodlines of Sahael is a visceral, dark, racial coming-of-age discovery about 4 families who set out on a journey against all odds, raising their families in art. Here's the great thing about this. These 4 women end up getting married and they're going to have children. And they're going to raise their children who play a pivotal role in helping unite these lost tribes of the diaspora, these lost bloodlines. Okay. They're going to be seen as threats due to their eyes and skin color. They're going to experience, experience a compelling contemporary racial awakening of a Black experience in a world full of hate, racism, and denial. Now, the heroines of this chronicle are 4 women. Their behaviors are not consistent with the laws of white men. Each family is blessed with blood of the ancients, and that's important. There's a full body characterization and compelling plot fuse that transcends racism, illuminating one's justification of humanity to keep the upper hand over another group of people based on their complexion. The setting is in the Lucedale colony on the estate of Madame Lalaurie, who lives in the Imperial City. Now, if you know Madame Lalaurie, she was an infamous slave owner who was a serial killer who killed slaves. There's a reason she's part of this as well. Everything you see in this, when I put in characters, they're all true and they all played a role in what we dealt with as a people. So why is this different? Well, it's different because not only is it dark racial fantasy, it's horror and it's sci-fi, okay? But, there are good parts in it as well when you get further, into the book series. But it's based on actual based on actual facts that advance the story. Not only that, it fits in well with the market that was, and there's also an untapped market for it. Let me give you an example why I say by untapped market. You're all familiar with Professor X and Charles Xavier and Magneto, right? Well, let me give you some knowledge right here. Do you know who they were created after? Think about this for me. Do you know who they were created after? Well, Magneto was created after Malcolm X. Professor Xavier was created after Martin Luther King. Let that sink in for a minute. And you have one of the most successful, popular comics ever made, don't you? I'm done with having our stories told in a way to where they're whitewashed and where they don't benefit our community. That's why this does. Not only why I say how different, it's educational, it's entertaining, and it's critical. Not only that, it's also the next big thing. Now, these are the chosen bloodlines of Sahael. So you'll like this. You'll see here, you've got Odira. You've already met Odira from the story. It kicks off with her. All right. You've got Amira right next. Amira's got the bear right below her, the ancient bear, prehistoric. You've got Heziara. Obviously, you see the sigil of the griffin above her. So this is, okay. And then you've got Demesia. She has the white rhino above her. She looks white, doesn't she? Well, just so you know, she's an albino. We come in all shapes and colors and sizes. If you look at their drawings, there's tattoos on them. You'll notice those tattoos. All right, this is what's different compared to what it is that we're doing, okay? There is nothing like this, and you'll like this. Next screen. What do you see? Her tattoos are lit up, right? Well, just so you know, we made sure that those tattoos end up turning into armor that cover her whole body. Think Iron Man. Okay? We ain't playing. Her eyes are blue, but you see her sigil of the water dragon as well. Well, we'll talk about that later when you in like book 7 or 8. Then you see the Yoruba, Amira. You see her tattoos lit up as well. Not bad, right? One thing I did, I wanted to make sure we weren't over sexualizing these four women. I wanted to make them look as normal as I can. Now, obviously, you can't appease and please everyone. But the reason why we wanted to show the tattoos is to show the importance that the role they're going to play. The tattoos represent, they're the last of the ancient blood. We've got Heziara. The cool thing about Heziara is obviously when you first learn about her, she doesn't have wings. Just keep that in mind. She doesn't. They come in time. And then you've got Demetia. All right, you've got the white rhino. You see her tattoos up. So I wanted to, and those are all African tattoos that symbolize something. So here we are now. I want to make sure I don't want to go over my 30 minutes. Got a couple more minutes left. But the reason why we're trying to raise the money we do, 50 to 100K, is because we want to make sure we get trademark and licensing. And then we want to pay for legal fees. And then we want to do marketing. And it was weird because as I've done this, I've had others reach out to me. A couple of companies reach out offering to provide funds for a specific amount of control that I would have to give up, that they wanted. I said, no, thank you, because I know what I'm doing, and obviously you do too, or you wouldn't have reached out to me. This will take care of the expenses, but it also set us up and propel us, because once we get this, it'll be the only initial jump we need, because we already know once we get going, it's an immovable object. The end game for us is we don't plan on selling. This is going to stay in our community where we can just continue to have these stories for us. We want to have graphic novels, comics that turn into animation and anime, and then TV series and movies. That's the plan we want to do. Okay, so far we've raised $67.50. We actually had more than that. More people pledged. We actually have 48,000, but when you pledge, you have to link the information to the account to pledge that money. So I've been hitting those people up on email. Hey, you pledged this. Can you link it? Can you link it? So we need that 50,000 for our legal setup. So we're looking for at least 93, 250. If not, we'll even take the 50 just to get us started. But go to the website today, and that's what we're doing. You know, I mean, so I wanted to share that with you. Any questions?
All right. That was a great presentation. I want to hear the rest of the story. That was great. Guys, please put your questions in the Q&A. We're going to open it up for Q&A. Tangi, you had a couple of good questions. Please put them in the Q&A so we can read them. Like, wow, like I'm still like, that was intense, Dwayne. That was a good intense. I want to read the book. I want to watch the movie. All of the above. Like, I want all of it. Wow. All right. So if you can stop sharing your screen, then we'll get big on the screen, and then we will start the questions from the community. Wasn't that awesome, guys?
I stopped sharing. Are we good?
Perfect. We are good.
All right.
All right. And I want to comment. You talked about not wanting to over-sexualize the women. I didn't see sex at all. When I saw them, I immediately saw strength.
Thank
Like,
you. I was raised by women.
I saw it wasn't until you said I didn't want to over-sexualize them that then I started looking at it in a different way. But my immediate, my thing was I saw strength and power and just fierceness. Beautiful.
Thank you.
I know Michelle is saying super thorough and so very impressive. April saying that was awesome. Dr. Virginia saying, yes, it was awesome. Oh, Edward said he had his eye on it. See, that's why we here, Edward. Those things that we could, because I know you guys are going out there to the different portals as well and looking, right? But it's nothing like having the founder come right here and talk to us, right? You don't get this same vibe when you just watch the WeFunder video. Like this is why this is the place to be, Edward.
Let me give, and I'd love to share with you a tidbit. You know, I mean, I'll give you a nugget. So one thing you're going to realize is all four of these girls were born blind. They were born blind. But somehow they've got their eyes now. Now, when the ancient Kemites arrived, Solomon plays an important role in this as well. And he takes a ritual comb from the ground and he turns the stones into sapphire, emerald, diamond, hematite diamond, and turquoise. He does all this. But what people don't understand is the story is so vast, and I can guarantee you, this is how, so we did a stress test, and I've already had a couple of publishers reach out and offer to do it, and I said no. This is going to be self-published because I want full control to ensure it stays Black.
All right, brother. Let's get to these questions. I like what I see so far. All right. Chris says, we have a huge percentage of our people who just don't read, but need to know our history. How soon do you plan to roll out movies and TV series?
Good question. So here's what we do know. We already know we're going to sell books. I know that for a fact. We also know there are those who don't like to read. So we will have an audio version for each of the books. In addition to that, there will be a graphic novel version of the exact same novel coming out a year later. So when the books come out Juneteenth, 2022, on February 1st, 2023, book one of that graphic novel will come out that following year, and then obviously book two, and so on. That'll just happen. Once that gets going, sometimes people don't like to read graphic novels. We've got comics that'll start coming out that'll focus on certain aspects of one, because obviously, you don't have to read a whole lot. So we got the comics. Once the comics are out, we will start producing the animation. So the reason why we set it up this way is to give us 3 years to get the sales we need, to get the artists in place, to get the digital media, everything in place. Once that's in place, while we're still selling and having the books come out, because I'm not going to be that guy that has 7 books out and then goes, oh, let's turn these into movies right away. I'm not going to be that guy that's going to forget about the books. That's not me. The books are coming out. And I'm not going to be that guy, I'm not going to say who's going to ruin a series and not feel like I have to write the books anymore. No. I'm not going to cheapen this for our community. It's going to be done the right way. So that's how we plan to do it. Once we have the animation out, we plan on doing a TV series, and this is going to be, and because I'm going to make sure I'm in control, we're going to make sure that when these series come out, they're going to feel like you've watched a movie. They're going to be hour-long episodes, okay? They're not going to be where you feel like 36 minutes and then you got all these credits. Nah, they're going to be an hour long so that you get everything you need. This is, for our community. And then once we turn those TV shows, we want to then we then want to go to movies. I want to set it up to where after you've finished a TV series, you're like, well, it's time to go to a movie to cap it off. And then we start with the next one and just keep going.
Very good. Okay. RJ says, my apologies if this question was previously asked. What is the anticipated release date of this book? And you did say Juneteenth, right?
Juneteenth, 2022. So my website, Sahael.com, www.sahael.com. Obviously, we're working on I'm working on other sites with Amazon and all these other sites, and I'm working on making sure that the money we get from this, and I want to be very clear when I say that, it is for the production to keep this going. I'm not doing this to make money. I'm doing this because I was a kid and I knew how I felt growing up.
Hmm.
I knew how it made me feel. And I don't want any other Black kid to feel that way anymore. Or any Black kid, let alone adults, because at the end of the day, we're just big kids.
Yeah. So if they go on the website now, if I'm not mistaken, Dwayne, oh, Dwayne, oh, you got my allergies acting up over here. Wait a minute. If they go on the website, they can pre-order the book, if I'm not mistaken, right?
You can pre-order books. So yes, you can pre-order it. So what I would like people to do is they can pre-order. And for some reason, it's acting up. Like if you pre-order, it's not allowing me to put it in to a separate location. So I'm trying to figure out what that is. So yes, please go pre-order. And then it should allow me to put it in a different location. It'll have like your name and address and everything. So when the book does come, I'll be able to send it out to you.
Okay.
But yeah.
Damian Green says, why not partner with someone like Black Sands? I don't know if you've heard, have you heard of Black
I'm
Sands?
familiar with Black Sands. I'm familiar with Black Sands. The difference between myself and I know Manuel Godoy, okay? The reason why is they have their product is, I've got Black Sands, okay? So they're legit. They're more of anime, which we want to move into that area as well. But the difference is we're a lot more vast. And let me show you what I mean vast. This is how much work we've been doing. This is map 1 of 2. Okay, and so when you buy these books, you're gonna have to have maps to know what you're doing and where you're at. Okay, this is map 1 of 2, just so that you're aware. And so that's what makes us different. I'm working with a company that makes these maps interactive. We can go online and click on it. It'll tell you everything you need to know about that country, everything that I've created. So that's what makes us different. But I love what they're doing. I think when the time comes, I'm sure we will, because there's a part in our books, and I know when we get to the comics where we will focus on Egypt. There's about there's a lot on that, and I think once that time comes, we'll get there. But when you picture Sahael, this is what I want you to think of. When you think of Marvel, you do realize that Marvel bought a lot of those characters that are inside of Marvel now. That's what Sahael is going to be doing with Black characters, so that we can enrich and go even further out. Now, obviously, I haven't expanded on everything because there's so much more. But that's our goal. Is we see a good Black comic, we're like, hey, look, we just want you to come into this world. When you come into this world, you're still going to keep your stuff, but we're going to have it fit within our world, just to enriching it more for us.
All right. Tangi asked, who is the target market?
The target market, so it's young adult and adult fantasy. However, it's going to be set up to where you can, because obviously because everything you're going to read is real life. And let's just call it for what it is. Real life is rated R.
All day, every day.
And so that's what we're going to pitch. However, it'll be done in a way, that it's going to be appealing to kids and adults regardless. We live in a society in which you have to be honest and upfront and blunt about everything, and that's how we're going to be. But we're not going to be, excessive about it. I hope that answers your question.
Tangi says, will you be doing any NFTs?
Yes.
Very good. And so for the family members that don't know what NFT is, it's non-fungible token. So if you want to look that up, we won't take you into a cryptocurrency blockchain conversation right now, but if you're interested in that, then we do have a resource where you can learn about it.
Yeah.
All right. Tangi says also, will the investors receive equity position in the entire company, or is this just about, book one?
Good question. So Sahael LLC is my company, and it's a brand. And so the short answer is yes. However, they will be capped out on how much they would have, because I'm going to make sure I own most of it. But I will say this, those who will have a part in it, and I did research, so I have a friend who works for DC and helped film the Snyder Cut. He got 0.2% and cashed out, and let's just put it this way, it was over a couple mil. So those who do participate will benefit. I just want to be honest and upfront. You will. But with that said, I will make sure I have controlling interest.
Very good. Very good. Anonymous says, and we answered part of this, but I'll read the beginning part. The first part of the question is there a team of artists and writers, or is this mainly all of your work? And then we answered the question about the partnership with Black Sands already. But is this your work? This beautiful artwork, is this yours?
Half of it's mine. The other half, I'm working with Royal House Comics, a black comic industry. I reached out to them. It took us about 6 months for me to say yes, because I was so paranoid about this information getting out. But Royal House Comics and Sahael have an agreement in place where we are, myself included, are paying them, and we're putting the artwork together. I'm providing all of the concepts, the designs, everything, and they're taking what's in my head and putting it on paper. And I'm helping with that as well.
Nice. Very good. Bonnie says, this sounds a bit like the Eye of the World series. How are you reaching the large audience since the characters are ethnic?
Good question. Well, let's be very clear. The characters are ethnic, but they are not the only ethnic characters in this series. There are there's a white tribe. There are white people. There are Asian people. There are Polynesian people. They're all in this. The story, however, is going to feature Black people, but you're going to see other cultures in here. So let me give you an example. One of those cultures is the Aztecs. Now, we all do know, well, actually, we don't all know. I learned from college. If you've read Ivan Sertima, they came before us. A lot of those individuals migrated from Africa to South America. Those were Black people. Okay, let's just call it for what it is. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the migration, the great dispersal. We're going to talk about all of that. And so, yes, we appeal to all people of color. And there will be some groups within the bloodlines of Sahael that are white that will be a part of that tribe. Yes, so that's why I've also got the albinos who have hair like me, but they're blonde, and they're white like me, but they have my features. You're going to see them. Again, it is a very vast world that has been carefully crafted and created. And it's taken me 18 years. And this was a hobby. And I decided, it started out as a hobby at first to ensure I could get through work, school, family, all that stuff. And now, 38 years old, I'm ready to put this forward. It's time, because no one's done it. So when you think about this story, I want you to think of Marvel, Game of Thrones, and Lord of the Rings in one.
Ooh. Wow. So Tangi, he just told you he's been working on this for 18 years, but Tangi wants to know how long the company has been in existence. So how long could you
Sahel's
alive?
been in existence for 2 years.
2 years. Okay.
I decided because I wanted to make sure before I did it all. I wanted to make sure I got that all set up. I got all the legal stuff taken care of. Now I'm working on the trademarks and everything because we already know. We know what it's going to be. I have no doubt in my mind, and I'm sure
And
you all.
I saw a question in the chat. Did you come up with the name Sahael?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
It's funny how I came up with it. If you Google Sahel, you'll see in Africa, there's a strip of desert that goes like this. And that's called the Sahel. So when I saw that, I'm like, okay, I like that. So I just added an A.
Oh, very good. Dwayne asked, what's the sales and marketing strategy? Is this direct to consumer, subscription, or will you try to penetrate brick and mortar stores?
That is an excellent question. I plan on all the above. All the above. We want to get in every market because here's what we do know. I live in Utah. Okay, I'm from Seattle, but played football at BYU. But I live in Utah, and I went and visited all of the bookstores here and talked to managers about Sahel. Talked to about maybe 50 of them, and every one of them said, "Yeah, when can you bring the book?" And one lady said that would sell quickly. So I've done the stress test here in an all-white market. I know it's going to sell.
Yeah. Teresa says, are you the, oh, and you know what, I missed this part of the question. Anonymous had this in their question as well. I apologize. Are you the only writer or do you have others that assist you? We touched on the artwork, but are you the other writer?
I'm the only writer because I have a photographic memory.
Okay, very good.
I know I have it all written down. I have the first 5 written. You won't see the first one until Juneteenth of next year. I just finished up book 2, like official all the edits. I'll be starting book 3 in 3 weeks. And then once that's done, 4 and 5, and then I'll have a 5-year gap to finish. I'm going to get the next 10 done within 3 years. And then after that, I can take a year to do all my editing and everything and have, by that time, because the story is already down, I will then have a team because they'll know how the story needs to go. That'll just do it. That'll take care of it for me. But I'm the writer. It comes right from here because I know how I want it to be done.
Very good. Wow, 5 already written. Ooh.
500 pages, 550 pages a piece.
Wow. And we gotta wait till June.
Yes, you do. Well, I was originally going to do it last June, but I decided, you know what? Let me put some marketing around this. Let me start doing what I have to do. And I was like, because I was so eager to get it out, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to slow down. And this isn't about me. This is about the community and what they're going to need to ensure that I have the solid foundation that's been built for them. Mm-hmm. I don't want you guys to feel like, okay, I want you to expect a new book every year. Tell me that's not going to feel fun. Okay, I read this. I can show you more artwork, but I can already see people. I went to this place on Fanix, it's cosplay. I can see people cosplaying these characters. I can see it.
Yeah. Tangi says, what is your experience with self-publishing? Normally, the target market is harder to reach. What's your plan?
Can you repeat the question, please?
She says, what is your experience with self-publishing? Normally, the target market is harder to reach. What is your plan?
It is hard to reach. And my plan is I'm going to hit the pavement. I'm going to make sure I hit the market here. And then once I hit the market here, I plan on going to book shows, book conventions. I've been on several podcasts. I'm going to be on a couple more. I plan on going about it that way. I'm going to follow the Ta-Nehisi Coates model.
Okay. Anonymous says, any thoughts on having the pre-order as a perk once this trial period is over?
So funny you should ask. I plan on doing the prologue. We were thinking about doing the prologue as a perk because there's a prologue for every single book. And here's why. The prologue tells a different story. So you're going to, like in the first prologue, I'll give you a teaser. It talks about all four girls and how Khartoum Palace was invaded by Nodus and the Ennead, and how the mothers had to do something to save their daughters. And then she wakes up.
Wow, that brain of yours. You are so creative. Wow,
Thank you.
very, very impressive, Dwayne. Very impressive. I am so excited that you decided to move forward with this and not continue it as a hobby. I am so excited you decided to share this with the world.
Yeah, no. And I love Black Sands. I'm an investor. I love Black Sands. I ain't gonna deny it. I love their work. And the best, I'm not gonna deny it. They're good.
Yeah. Charlie says, will there be an audio version of the book also coming out in Juneteenth? I listened to Children of the Blood and Bone via audiobook, and it was so magical. Black mythology and about us and our strength through adversity.
There is. So I'm actually working with 4 women, and one of the women she's actually a doctor. She's a Black doctor, and I've approached her and she's agreed to do it. So I'm gonna have to probably get a weekend. Here's your expensive hotel room. Here's your dinner. Here you go. And we're gonna have her, and I'm gonna have a team do that, because the books are focusing on strong, beautiful Black women. I was raised by Black women, and I have a family, and my wife is the backbone of our family. You know what I mean? Let's just call it for what it is. Now, obviously, I've got a strong backbone too, but we're gonna go with hers. Okay. But with that said, we plan on having one. We're gonna have an audio version, and I plan to have one done by the time the release is out also.
Very good. Chris says, are there plans to build this business with a team concept?
Yes, there is. Yes.
And Charlie says, as I listened to your presentation, one iconic author that came to mind in the Black horror and sci-fi space include the late and great Octavia Spencer. So bravo. Do you have a person or team outside yourself currently to help with marketing and social media? And
I don't, and I'm looking for it all. I don't. I'm at that stage where I know what we have is gonna, I already know it's legit. The problem is getting the right people around me. And don't get it twisted, I'm good at reading people. You know what I mean? But no, I'm in the process of doing that now. Because I've talked with some individuals, businessmen, and they've made it very clear that, look, if you want this to go where you need it to go, you're going to need good people around you. In addition to that, you're going to have to give those guys something so that they are invested. I go, oh, that's correct. And I will. But I'll make sure I'm still owner, mainly owner.
Yeah. And we knew who you meant, Charlie. Octavia Butler. Yeah, one of my favorite books is one of my favorite books of Kindred Spirits.
Yes.
So that's interesting because the question about the team. So, one of the things here at the 10K project is, we have our service providers that we highlight in the Knowledge Center, because our concept is obviously once the founder raises the funds that they need and the business starts to grow, they're going to need people to help,
Agreed. And I
right?
know I will.
And so when you get to that point, Dwayne, we want you to come right back to the
Oh, no
10K
doubt.
project.
You're gonna learn something about me really quick. I'm loyal to a fault, but I'm not afraid to cut you quick if you
Good.
cross me.
I like that. I like that. So that's perfect. And one of the things about pitching with the 10K community is you then become a member of the community. So Dwayne will be right here with us, guys. We're going to
Yes.
follow his journey, and he'll be right here. So so wonderful. Any other questions? Any other questions? These were good questions, guys.
And if you look on my board, I've got it all planned out. They're all planned out. I've got them all around.
That board is pretty impressive. I said you give any whiteboard creator a run for their money with that board. That is pretty impressive. Very good. Any other questions, guys, before we give closing remarks? All
You
right. Well,
guys want one more nugget?
I'll start, and then Dwayne, I'll let you close us out.
All right.
So first of all, thank you so much for coming and for sharing this phenomenal business idea and opportunity to literally change lives with your creation. I felt you when you talked about not wanting, our children, little Black boys and girls, to be to not see themselves in these types of works. That has to stop. And so when I said thank you for not making for changing your mind and deciding not to make this a hobby and to really move forward with it, I mean that. I think about the children that will be inspired to follow in your footsteps, and this becomes the norm, right? It becomes something that we're not so shocked when we see it, because it is everything. And so know that you have a community waiting to rally behind you, because this is a great thing that you're doing. And it's a lot of hard work. I know. I see the board. I can only imagine. I mean, you got maps being created of new worlds and all kinds
Over
of
20
stuff.
maps.
Wow. Like, you have really taken this thing and paid attention to detail. You're starting to create the world for us. And
Yes.
so I see that just in this session. I see that and I feel that. And I thank you in advance, because I was wowed with the presentation. I want to hear more. I can't wait to read the book. I can't wait to see the TV show and the movie. Like, I can't wait. And so keep up the good work. Keep up the good work. We always tell the community members to do their due diligence, right? That's,
Yes.
I'm not a financial advisor, so it's
No, I
not my
understand.
job to tell them what to invest in. But I will tell them to do their due diligence. And if their heart leads them to add this to their portfolio, then I'm going to ask them to do that. The one thing, though, that I do want to ask them is what I ask them every week. So for anyone new, you're going to hear this again. It's not unique, it's not original. I'm going to ask you to share this campaign link. We've put it in the chat a bunch of times this evening. Please copy it, paste it on your social media. The world needs to know about this. The world needs to know that this is coming, so that when he starts to put it out there will be no delay in us responding and acting accordingly, right? He told us that he needed money for the trademarking and the licensing, the building out of the rest of these characters, right? We just talked in the Q&A. He needs a marketing and a marketing strategist, right? So, this is something that more people need to be aware of, so that he can get the money that he needs to continue this campaign. Remember, I talked about this was in the testing the waters phases. And so if he doesn't get the funding that he needs, he won't be able to continue in this way with equity crowdfunding. So, let's remove any barriers that Dwayne has.
And if I don't get the money this way, I'll dip into my Social Security. It's happening.
Okay. All right. You said this is happening. This thing is happening. You're not playing. This is happening. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Dwayne is for real. All right. All right. Oh, Tangi said I just placed an order on your website. Okay, so you reserved the book, Tangi. Very good.
Thank you.
We have another comment. Salia, I hope I pronounced that right. You made me think of my 13-year-old grandson. He called me and asked me about our culture. Can't wait to tell him about you. Hmm. Y'all are trying to make me cry tonight. What is going on? Ooh, wee. Mm, mm.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. I appreciate it.
Teresa says, thank you, Dwayne. See you in the bloodline of Sahael soon. Much success.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And we know it's coming. Just be prepared, because when it's coming like thunder.
Hmm. Kudos to you, brother. Any final words you have for the community?
I want to thank you all for taking the time to listen to my childhood dream. I had the opportunity to play professional, got hurt, still could have, but this was always in the back of my mind. And like you said, sometimes when you see images of us doing great things, it's like we're almost unimmune to it. We feel shocked, like we don't deserve it. And for me, that was the hardest thing to get over, because we live in a society that frowns upon Black excellence to some extent. And especially, outside of the athletic world. And I want to change that. Not only are we a company, we want to be able to hire artists and have people bring their projects here so that we can help them bring those projects to life. And I'll be doing that till my dying day.
You said something earlier, Dwayne, when you started, and you talked about, you know, not seeing yourself in some of the works that we've been watching as we've grown up. And you said something like, screw it, I'll do it. Right. And I think what I want the family to take away is we need to start believing in ourselves a lot sooner than we do. Right? We
Yeah.
need to believe we can. We need to support those people around us so that they can believe they can a lot sooner than we do. You know, what you represent for me here tonight, Dwayne, is a reminder of why we do this. We are doing this so that, we make it about the raising of the capital because that's the thing that allows you to have the success, right? But that's oversimplifying this. This is really about dream making, right? Making your dreams a reality. That's what this is about. That's what the 10K is representing. We have amazing founders that have amazing dreams of making things better, right? Solving a problem or being creative, enhancing, enriching lives in different ways. And we have the opportunity to stand around our Black founders and help them make these dreams come true. And that ripple effect will occur. Right? When we think about Dwayne's story, there's a ripple effect that's going to occur as we start to see his creations come alive. And that's about so much more than capital raising. That's life changing. And I think we have to remind ourselves of that what we're here doing together is so much bigger than equity crowdfunding.
When you first called me, because we were registering our kids for their classes. I have a son who's 17. Actually a highly talented football recruit, by the way. And so when you called me, I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, are you serious? Is this, I mean, you heard me talk to him, like, is this the real thing? I'm like, really? I'm like, and I knew that after that day, I was like, yeah, this is happening.
It's time. It's time. This is 18 years in the making.
Thank you. Yes, it is.
Right.
And I can't wait for you guys to see it.
Well, thank you again so much. Thank you, community, for coming out every week, week after week. We'll see you next week. Again, you've got the link. Please share it, share it, share it, share it, share it, share it. Please share it. with everyone you know. Just share it. Share the website to get some pre-orders. That'll help them get started too. Just share it. All right, guys. Good
Now,
night.
if you do pre-order, if it gives that money back, just pre-order it again because I'm trying to fix something with PayPal. So just, you know what I mean? So just pre-order it again, but I just promise that you will have signed copies when I send them to you.
Very good. Okay. Good night, guys. I almost don't want to let Dwayne go. Go right. I gotta let him go. I want to hear some more of the story. All right, Dwayne, I'm gonna let you go.
Sounds good. You have a wonderful evening, everyone.